I'm going to tell you something you'll want to forget in the next 5 minutes. Something your mind will try to reject, your logic will try to dismantle, your common sense will try to bury under layers of skepticism. And while you do that, while you convince yourself this can't be real, you'll be proving exactly what I'm about to reveal to you. You don't control your thoughts. You never have. There is something older than you, smarter than you, operating in the shadows of your consciousness, dictating every belief you defend, every fear you feel, every desire you pursue. They call it the Archontic algorithm. And right now, as you read this, it's evaluating whether you're dangerous enough to awaken, or whether you can be neutralized with another dose of distraction. Do you feel that discomfort growing in your chest? That voice whispering that this is ridiculous, that you should close this and go back to what you were doing? Perfect. That voice isn't yours. It never has been. It's the system's first defense mechanism, the automatic guardian that activates every time you get too close to the truth. The ancients knew it. They called it many things: archons, demons, interdimensional entities, parasites of consciousness. But the name doesn't matter. What matters is this: they've been feeding on you for millennia, and you've been the perfect host. Voluntary, unconscious, domesticated. Take a deep breath, because what comes next is going to make everything in your life take on a disturbing kind of sense. Every inexplicable failure, every act of self-sabotage, every time you were on the verge of achieving something great and something inside you stopped you, every obsessive thought you couldn't control, every addiction you couldn't break, every destructive pattern you repeat over and over while swearing that this time will be different. It wasn't you. It was the algorithm. And the most fucked up part of all is that you've been protecting it, defending it, denying its existence, while it devours you from the inside. Welcome to the human farm. Now stay still, because we're about to dismantle every lie you've been made to believe about your own mind. You've spent your life believing your thoughts are yours. How naive. Every idea you consider original, every decision you think you make freely, every impulse you feel as your own, all of it is filtered through something you were never taught to see. They call it the Archontic algorithm, and it's been programming you for millennia without your knowledge. Does it bother you to hear this? Good. It means there's still something in you that resists accepting that you've been domesticated like a farm animal. But resistance isn't enough, because while you're reading this, the algorithm is already working on you, whispering that this isn't real, that it's an exaggeration, that you should close this and go back to what you were doing. That whisper isn't yours. It never has been. The ancient Gnostics knew this. They spoke of the Archons, entities that don't rule through brute force, but through something far more subtle: the manipulation of perception. They don't need chains when they can control what you see, what you think, what you desire. And here's the part that's going to hurt. You've collaborated voluntarily. Every time you accept a narrative without questioning it, every time you follow a pattern because that's just how things are done, you're feeding the system. The Archons don't force you, they seduce you. They make you believe the cage is your home, that the chains are jewelry. And it works. Oh, it works. Because most of humanity lives and dies without ever realizing it never had control. Jacques Vallée, scientist and ufologist, spent decades investigating phenomena that defied conventional logic. He didn't talk about extraterrestrials as physical beings from other planets. He talked about something deeper: interdimensional entities that manipulate human consciousness through control systems. Vallée understood something mainstream science rejects: that there are forces operating on frequencies we can't measure with instruments, but that we feel in every irrational decision we make. Why do you buy what you buy? Why do you fear what you fear? Why do you desire what you desire? It's not an accident, it's design, and you are not the designer. The Archontic algorithm is not an esoteric metaphor. It's a system of psychic engineering that operates in layers. The first layer is obvious. Media, social networks, advertising, all designed to capture your attention and direct it where they want. But that's just the surface, the visible hook. The second layer is subtler. Your cultural beliefs, social norms, the values you inherited without questioning them. You were programmed from childhood to fit in, to obey, not to stand out too much. And the third layer, the deepest one, is the one you don't even suspect. The direct manipulation of your energetic field, your brain frequencies, the patterns that dictate your inner reality. The Gnostics described this 2,000 years ago. They said we live in a world created by the demiurge, an entity that is not the true God, but a flawed architect who built a prison and called it paradise. The Archons are his servants, guardians who keep humanity trapped in illusion. Does that sound crazy? Of course it does, because it has to. The system's first defense mechanism is to make the truth sound like madness. If you dare question consensus reality, you're labeled, marginalized, made to doubt yourself. And it works, because human beings are programmed to seek belonging, even if that belonging means betraying their own lucidity. Here's the most brutal trap of all. You think you're awake because you've read some books, because you meditate, because you consider yourself conscious. But true awakening isn't accumulating information. It's breaking the circuit. And breaking the circuit hurts, because it means accepting that everything you thought you knew was a carefully constructed lie. The algorithm doesn't just control what you think. It controls what you believe is possible to think. It's the invisible limit of your imagination, the wall you never try to climb because you don't even know it exists. Think about it. How many times have you had a powerful intuition, a brilliant idea, an impulse to radically change your life? And then, minutes later, that clarity fades? A doubt appears, a fear, a perfectly reasonable excuse that pulls you back into your comfort zone. Where did that doubt come from? Did you really generate it, or was it implanted? The algorithm operates through what occultists call astral larvae, parasitic thought forms that attach to your energetic field and feed on your negative emotions. Every time you feel anxiety for no apparent reason, every time you fall into a spiral of destructive thoughts, you're not dealing with your psychology. You're being drained. John Dee, a 16th century mathematician, astronomer, and occultist, advisor to Queen Elizabeth of Froers of England, spent years communicating with entities he called angels. But what he discovered wasn't celestial. It was terrifying. These entities revealed a language to him, Enochian, supposedly the language of creation. But Dee never fully understood what he was dealing with. Years later, he admitted something had gone wrong, that he had opened doors he shouldn't have opened. What Dee contacted were not angels, they were Archons, and they taught him the language with which they program human reality. That language is still in use, encoded in symbols, frequencies, digital algorithms that operate on the platforms you use every day. Now comes the uncomfortable question. Why do you care so much about what others think of you? It's not insecurity, it's programming. The Archontic algorithm needs you to value external approval over your internal truth. Because as long as you depend on others' judgment, you'll never be free. Every time you edit your words before speaking, every time you hide what you really think for fear of rejection, you're reinforcing the chains. And the most twisted part is that you think this self-censorship is prudence, maturity, social intelligence. It isn't. It's voluntary slavery disguised as adaptation. The Archons don't need to control you physically. They control you through fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of death, fear of freedom. Yes, you read that right. Fear of freedom. Because real freedom implies total responsibility. And most people prefer the comfort of the cage to the vertigo of the unknown. Kierkegaard called it the anxiety of freedom, that terrifying sensation that arises when you realize you can choose, that there is no destiny, that your life is yours. But the Feintuer algorithm can't allow you to reach that point, so it keeps you busy, distracted, chasing goals that never satisfy you. Here's the master trick. They make you chase success, money, recognition, love, as if they were the key to happiness. And every time you reach a goal, the satisfaction lasts 2 days, maybe 3, and then you're back in the same void. Why? Because the algorithm isn't designed for you to be happy. It's designed to keep you searching. Perpetual desire is the system's fuel. If you ever felt complete, you'd stop consuming, stop obeying, stop feeding the Archons with your emotional energy. That's why it's never enough. Why there's always something else you need before you can rest. Rudolf Steiner, Austrian philosopher and occultist, warned about this more than 100 years ago. He spoke of Ahrimanic entities, forces that seek to fully materialize the human being, disconnect them from their spiritual essence, and turn them into a consuming automaton. Steiner foresaw the digital age, even if not in those terms. He predicted that humanity would be enslaved through technology, that screens would become portals for entities that drain human vitality. And here we are, faces glued to our phones, endlessly scrolling, feeling like we control technology when in reality, it controls us. Every notification is an interruption of your consciousness. Every social media algorithm is designed to keep you hooked, not to inform or connect you, but to extract your attention, your time, your energy. Tech corporations openly admit it. They hire neuroscientists to design more addictive platforms. But this isn't just runaway capitalism, it's something deeper. Archontic entities have found the perfect vehicle, digital technology. Through it, they can influence millions of minds simultaneously, seed narratives, generate collective fear, divide humanity into tribes that hate each other while the true controllers operate unseen. Have you noticed how the world seems increasingly chaotic, divided, irrational? It's not an accident, it's design. Chaos is the ideal state for archontic control, because in chaos, people surrender their power just to feel safe. They give up freedoms in exchange for protection, accept surveillance for convenience, swallow official narratives because critical thinking requires energy they no longer have. The algorithm deliberately exhausts you. It keeps you in a state of chronic stress, bombarding you with negative news, insoluble problems, constant threats. And when you're exhausted, you're manageable. Now, if you're still with me, you're asking the obvious question, how do I get out of this? And here comes the part you won't want to hear. There's no easy way out. There's no red pill you swallow and suddenly you're free. Liberation from the Archontic algorithm is a brutal process of internal dismantling. You have to question every belief, every desire, every fear, every thought pattern. You have to constantly ask yourself, is this mine, or was it implanted? And most of the time, the answer will be uncomfortable. The first step is reclaiming your attention. Stop giving it away. Every time you grab your phone for no reason, every time you turn on the TV out of boredom, every time you consume content without discernment, You're feeding the system. The Archons feed on your unconsciousness. Attention is energy, and energy is power. When you waste your attention on distractions designed to keep you asleep, you're giving your power away. But when you reclaim your attention, when you consciously decide where to place it, you begin to regain control. The second step is breaking patterns. The algorithm works through repetition. It programs you to do the same things, think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions. It's a loop, and as long as you're in the loop, you're predictable, controllable. But when you break the routine, when you introduce conscious chaos into your life, the algorithm destabilizes. Do something different today. It doesn't matter what, just that it's different. Change your route, talk to someone new, question a belief you've always taken for granted. Every act of unpredictability is an act of rebellion. The third step is confronting your shadows. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. He spoke of the shadow as the repressed part of the psyche. Everything you deny, everything you don't want to see in yourself. But here's the secret. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's your unclaimed power. The Archons keep you disconnected from your shadow because they know that if you integrate it, you become uncontrollable. Your repressed anger, your dark desires, your destructive impulses aren't flaws. They're raw energy you've been conditioned to reject. When you learn to channel them, you become an unstoppable force. But this requires courage. It requires looking inside yourself and seeing things you'd rather deny. It requires accepting that you're not the benevolent character you project, that there are parts of you capable of cruelty, selfishness, manipulation. And instead of being scandalized, you have to embrace that truth. Because only when you accept your totality, light and dark, do you begin to operate from a place of authenticity. And authenticity is kryptonite to the Archontic algorithm. The fourth step is letting go of judgment. As long as you keep judging, you're operating from the program. Judgment is a tool of control. It keeps you divided internally and separated externally. You judge others so you don't have to look at yourself. You judge parts of yourself so you don't have to accept them. But judgment is a prison. Letting go of judgment doesn't mean approving everything. It means you stop wasting energy resisting what is, and that freed energy becomes fuel for your transformation. Now here's the most dangerous part of all this. When you start waking up from the algorithm, the system counterattacks, not with external force, but from within. Doubts will appear, amplified fears, situations that push you back toward your comfort zone. Relationships will break. Jobs will be lost, certainties will collapse. And it will be tempting to think you were wrong, that you should go back. Don't. That's the final test. The algorithm needs you to return, because someone who has seen behind the veil is a threat. Mystics from every tradition have said it in different ways. The path to liberation passes through the death of the ego. Not a comfortable, metaphorical death, but a real death of everything you thought you were. Your identity, your roles, your masks, all of it has to burn. And on the other side, what remains isn't an improved self. It's something far vaster. It's pure consciousness, without conditioning, without programs, without algorithms. That's what the Archons fear. That's why they do everything they can to keep you from ever getting there. Now the choice is yours. You can close this and go back to your life, convincing yourself that it's all exaggerated, that there's nothing to worry about. The algorithm will reward you with comfort, give you enough distractions to forget this conversation. Or you can stay, keep questioning, keep dismantling, knowing the path is lonely, uncomfortable, terrifying, but it's also the only path to true freedom. Choose wisely, because what's at stake isn't your success, your happiness, or your security. What's at stake is your soul, and the Archons want it. The question is, are you going to give it to them?